Ladies and gentlemen, I wish I didn't have to say this. And God bless the people who are facing evictions, who are facing dire economic consequences from our paranoid and completely irrational response as a country to a global crisis. President Trump was right, and I wish I didn't have to say this to people, but if you're facing eviction, if you're facing, the repercussions of the worst, the one of the worst economic disasters we've faced as a country, it is almost entirely the fault of the Democratic Party and Republicans like Mitt Romney and Cheney and others. But it is almost entirely the fault. The economic disaster that you're facing right now, the possible eviction, and I don't say this gleefully, I don't say this like even though I supported President Trump. If you dislike Trump, God bless you. If you think he's the worst president of all time and, believe that he was the reason for this entire global crisis or the health crisis within this country because he didn't act soon enough, okay, I disagree with you respectfully, but you can have your viewpoint on that. But I don't think anyone can doubt or deny that President Trump was right about the consequences, the repercussions of deliberately tanking and deliberately ending the U.S. economy and society and life as we know it. He said you can't do that. He begged people to listen. Nobody would listen to him, not just about the origins, not just about certain treatments, which, by the way, not everyone is going to be able to utilize certain treatments that President Trump advocated. Because one thing we've learned about this crisis is that people respond differently to different treatments. So there's not one size fits all. But anyway, that's a whole other issue. They opposed President Trump at every turn. They did so because they have this irrational, diabolical, completely illogical contempt and disdain for Trump. Even if the truth was, even at the expense of the truth. So, you had last year Democrats policies within blue states, the most draconian policies possible, all different types of mandates and all of that. You have the New York Times statistics, the four highest per capita rates are in Democratic-run states, blue states, and the majority of the lives lost have been in blue states, with God bless the people of New York and New Jersey leading, being the epicenter. How they don't blame de Blasio and Cuomo and AOC and Schumer and Gillibrand, I don't know. I don't understand how Democrats have the audacity to pontificate about how fantastic their experts are when from day one we've done virtually everything they have asked. Because of science, there was safety, or we have ended society as we know it because of science and safety. That's not the Trump Republican mentality. I'm sorry. You can accuse Trump and Trump Republicans and, Make America Great Again hat wearing Trump supporters for a lot of things, most of which would be, complete fantasy. But you can say whatever you'd like. The reality is that the evictions, the Supreme Court basically sided with Trump, or I should say vindicated Trump, or I should say backed what Trump was saying for a long time. That at the end of the day, you cannot force business owners. If you own a building, you're a business owner. You cannot force in this country a perpetual state of socialism, for lack of a better term. You can't force that. You can't simply say we're going to give you a check because we've tanked society. We've tanked society, therefore, aren't you happy we gave you cash? We've ended U.S. society and life as we know it, so aren't you happy? So the article will be below. Hit subscribe. It's a very important segment. To my viewers who were kind enough to support this channel via super chat or super thanks, I want to thank you very, very, very much. And in my last segment, there were people who that I must thank. Let's get this segment up on my phone. So just thank you so very much to the people who did support. Herman McBride, thank you again. Joseph Allen, thank you again. I can't thank you both enough. MC Record, thank you so very much. Patricia Marino, thank you as always. And ladies and gentlemen, I will thank you next segment for your super thanks. It's like super chat, but for upload. So if you want to buy me a cup of coffee or support the channel, you can do so. Your support, ladies and gentlemen, is greatly appreciated. I don't have $20 million in venture capital funding, like some people who are facing a discrimination case, the hypocrites. But anyway, I'm constantly swimming upstream and walking on eggshells, but I want everyone to kind of take an aggregate view of things and a bird's eye view of things and ask basic questions. Use logic and reason. Basic logic, basic critical thinking skills. If Trump worked with Russia, why didn't they indict him in a court of law? Because they wanted to milk and extract every ounce of political utility from their fabricated fantasy, their tinfoil hat fantasy. You can't simply say that, oh, well, we have a hunch. The intelligence community hasn't been right about a whole bunch of grandiose things, from the Gulf of Tonkin to WMD. We can go on forever. You can look, ladies and gentlemen, and then Facebook ads. You can look at the track record of media. When media is saying that Clinton can't lose, or that Trump worked with Russia, or prior to that, the lead up to the horrendous foreign policy under Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld. When media is blindly pushing a narrative, it's almost always false. And when they said, well, we have to, completely lock everything, all of society down, it didn't work. We're back to square one. It didn't work. You cannot force people, because there's something called free will. The laws are meant to protect people's rights and to keep people safe, but at the same time, you're not keeping people safe by preventing them from working. People were thriving. We had record low unemployment, record low Black and Latino unemployment. Who ended all of that? It wasn't a microscopic organism. Sorry, it wasn't. It wasn't science-y either. Okay? Stay in your lane. If you're a scientist, you're not an economist. You're not a business owner. Stay in your lane. We shouldn't be accepting advice on the United States economy from scientists, just like scientists wouldn't accept advice within their field of expertise from a person who owns a restaurant. You cannot. An expert has an expertise within a specific area of industry or of life or of a specific study or topic. What we've done is allowed primarily media and the Democratic Party, working in conjunction or in unison. They have this unholy symbiotic relationship where they've stated, well, we have to, more draconian policies. And you look, the blue states that have done the absolute worst in terms of the economy also have the highest per capita rates. And go to the New York Times statistics. The top 4 states have the highest per capita rates are blue states. How does that happen? How does that happen if they're right? And then you have, these people are despicable. You have Herman Cain, for example, who loses his life. And then you have liberals on Twitter, jumping for joy, gleefully. He didn't listen. He didn't listen. Well, how many people listen to you and to the wonderful experts and to the bureaucratic organizations that are in charge of protecting people? How many people listened and still perished? And then you say, well, you didn't listen enough. It's like this person doubling down in Vegas or Atlantic City, and they keep on losing. And they say, well, you know what? The next hand is, you just have to listen more. You just have to trust us even more. And now we're back to square one. And what do we have to show for it? How many lives will be altered forever because of this economic downturn? Deliberately caused by politicians, I would say primarily the Democratic Party, but also Republicans, who pushed for the end of American society as we know it, and it didn't even help. Don't say it helped. Look at the New York Times statistics. The greatest number of lives lost were in places, blue states, that had the most draconian policies. Explain that if these policies worked. Red states had much better outcomes. Okay, compare Florida. You can look at, there's counties in Massachusetts that have 100% you know what. And they're facing waves now of cases. How did that happen? Okay, maybe you just can't control something. You have to live life. There are horrendous stories of people losing their lives from drunk drivers during this whole thing. I mean, horrendous stories. When you live life, this is something that Democrats don't understand. There's something called free will. There's a risk to living life. If you walk down the street, you gotta look both ways. And it's unbelievable, the mentality that people have. Oh, you have to trust. If you don't trust, it's a big problem. Nobody trusts you. No, you can't even. You cheat Bernie Sanders and you have the worst statistics in terms of the New York Times. Nobody trusts you. So you've made your bed. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Look, God bless you. If you're facing eviction, God bless you. And I'm not telling you to blame anybody, but just objectively, what political side pushed for all of this? Trump was saying, let society function. And I disagree with him in even, pushing for, an end to the economy for a couple of months. But he did what Falsey and others told him to do. It was Democrats, especially within blue states, that continued, ending the economy, shutting down business and activity. And that hurt the entire economy. And now people are facing evictions. It's not the fault of Trump. That's not Trump's fault. We had record low unemployment with him. And then look at the side that thought that they would benefit the most. Now it's going to come back and bite them in the rear end. Because 2022 is around the corner. You're talking about a Republican tidal wave. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Thank you.